in Borderlands 1, I loved Scooter. He was great. And then when you clear that area, it's just no more Scooter. He's gone.
Did you play? We brought him back in General Knox.
That's
You have to
true.
be kind of careful, you know. Like there's absolutely something that could be too much Scooter.
That's,
like for example, when I walk around the office and try to have meetings as Scooter, that's too much.
Yeah, okay, I can see how that could be too much.
Don't listen to your detractors.
Yeah. Did you know that I was also the voice of the midget, and I just recorded a bunch more midget VO as well?
Really?
Which requires me to scream at the top of my lungs for about 2 hours, and then we just pitch it up, and that's yeah. Because the midget's basically like, "Ah!" Like that's really all of his dialogue, and you really need to find out where that character's coming from. You know, what are motivations? What's his history? You know.
How many different lines of midget grunting did you have to record?
We expanded the midget significantly thanks to the magic of Anthony Birch, who's writing Borderlands 2. I'm sure there's some Anthony Birch fans out there.
Mm-hmm.
We made the character a lot more. The midget now sings his own theme music and stuff like that, so it's pretty good.
Awesome.
Oh, Anthony's not with me today, obviously, but I thought I'd bring him here in spirit. This is the puppet.
Oh God.
Anthony Birch.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Wow.
Just so he's here in spirit.
How is... Sorry, some people in the chat are trying to correct our spelling, and Johnny has your name spelled on the overlay the way that you have it spelled on Skype. And
Yeah, it's Neumann.
all right. Well, there we go. Okay.
It's very Germanic.
MN.
Mann.
Oh, no. You see, Johnny, you've got an MN.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
There we go. The system works. All right.
As long as I didn't fill it.
What makes a better monster, giant spiders or parasitic worms?
Wow.
Suck it, Jer.
That's a good question. I like that.
Meh.
Oof. It depends on the size because parasitic implies some kind of small worm, but like I'm a fan of gigantic worms. Although giant spiders. You know, I think I'm gonna have to give the edge to Harry Potter here because they had giant spiders and they were always great. So gonna go with spiders.
Nice. Do you have any advice to fans who are trying to become writers or voice actors as cool as you?
Yeah, I do, and I think Anthony would echo because we're pretty much the two writers at Gearbox. I think the best advice I could give, especially with something like Borderlands, which is why we hired Anthony, I or anyone else in the industry could turn somebody into a game writer that's already funny fairly easily. I can't turn someone who's already kind of a game writer into somebody funny. So it really comes down to talent. And Anthony had that in spades because he's just a funny guy. And then he made that transition really well. So yeah, I would definitely, like, if you want to write in the industry, work on your writing, write a novel, write screenplays, write whatever, and we'll send you a writing challenge and see where that goes.
All right. It's a question from Mike Robles, actually.
I see. Of course.
With all the writing you do you feel that your recent medical issues have driven you to write more?
Wow. Robles with the softballs, jeez.
Yeah, I know. I was debating not asking that one, but I was like, well, it's Robles, so
yeah, I guess,
if
I mean, do we need to like give some background on that?
oh, maybe, I guess. I mean, I figured if you didn't like it, you could just punch Robles next time you see him. So.
I punch him every time I see him anyway.
Oh, well then.
Punch him
Actually,
twice.
as a matter of fact, when I don't punch him, he'll realize something's wrong.
He's in the chat. He says, "Hey man, I care."
Aww.
I know.
We
all
can't make
care.
a heart. See, this is what a stroke does to you. So yeah, I guess about 60 days ago, I was at work and we were playing Left 4 Dead 2, and I realized something was not right. Like my arm was really numb, my leg was numb, and I was playing really bad, like the worst Left 4 Dead that you've ever seen. I went to leave, and I ended up falling down the stairs at work.
Oh, jeez.
And and I got in my car, and I don't really remember getting in my car at all. And when I got home, I called my sister, like, kind of freaked out. I was like, I think I'm having a stroke. She's like, how do you know? And I'm like, well, I just went down WebMD and I read them all. And so I was in the hospital for about 10 days from complications from the stroke because I have something that's called a PFO, a patent formal ovale, I believe is the pronunciation. My Latin's not very good. And I basically have a tunnel through the atriums of my heart that's normally not bad, but if the pressure in your heart is off, like it's supposed to flow left or right, and mine the pressure is backwards, and that can cause blood clots to go up in your brain and cause stroke. So that's what happened. I have a thing that probably will get fixed, but that's sort of the quick background that I can say really fast without crying. What was the question? Oh yeah, did that drive me to try harder and do more stuff?
No, to write more, because your blog has been it's been a really great read. It's been really just fascinating to come with you on this on what's happened.
Yeah, it's funny reading that first blog entry again because it definitely, in partial answer to the Robles question, it was like 5 a.m. that first blog entry, and I was so angry because you're up for 36 hours, people are poking and prodding. And this is before we really had identified the PFO completely. Like we didn't really know exactly what was going on there, and it just kind of came out because I love writing. And I had been working on my novel at the time too, and the blog was sort of born out of that. And then I finished up the novel, and I'm kind of shopping that around right now. And I decided I'm going to write, direct a movie next year. So absolutely, because the thing is, like, you do what you love, and if you realize a little earlier than most, because I'm only 29, that's definitely not a time when you're going to be like, I'm going to die at some point. You do want to do the most with the time you have. So, and I love writing, and I certainly have written a lot more since the incident.
All right.
Yeah, Debbie Downer in here. Jeez.
Well, it's something that you've talked about a lot on your Twitter, and it's
it actually became easier. That's one of the things the blog is about, and definitely like tweeting about it is one. It's cathartic for me to talk about the emotions because they're complicated, and I was able to also simultaneously give updates to people because on certain days, like I had some bad days in the hospital. There was a couple days, I'm sure my dad remembers one specifically where I just broke down and then he broke down and it was ugly. And then you have all these people all the time like calling you, understandably, like absolutely. I had the most support ever, but you do get tired of explaining the same thing over and over because it's really painful a lot of times, especially when you don't know. So the blog was a way to just kind of put that out there so that anyone that wanted to know, instead of just being like, how are you doing today? That kind of thing. Like I could just put it out there and update everyone on how I'm doing. Because the thing is, like, if you ask how I'm doing, you better be ready for an answer of not great, Right. And not everybody takes that very well. It did give a central hub where I could sort of put the information out there, but do it in a way that was funny and interesting, hopefully, that people could read and relate to and understand and kind of laugh with me sometimes because it's fun to laugh.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna get back into Borderlands now, but
sweet.
So there was, there's a couple questions about that, so I figured we should address it. All right, what part of Borderlands are you personally the most proud of?
I would say easily the intro, the Ain't No Rest for the Wicked bus ride on the first one. I did that. There was a lot. That wasn't just me by any stretch of the imagination, but it started out just me and this guy, this amazing talent named Richard Jessup, who's a designer / cinematic artist, and we kind of just came in over the weekend and worked all that out, and it was super fun because we realized what made us laugh and what got us into the game was actually kind of amplified around the company in the same way, because it was very organic how that happened. like when we had the scab walking around, and then we're like, what if we hit it with the bus? And then we hit it with the bus, and we're like, what if we had that present like the 2K presents, and it's this organic process, you know? And then it was like, wait, it should be stuck to the front of the bus. And then I went in the sound booth and made that noise, so you know he's flapping around. And then it was that process, and to see everyone, like all the fans are crazy about that intro. So I'm definitely most proud of that and all the work that all of us did, the animators, the artists, everybody. That I think set the tone really well for what Borderlands was, so that you were not confused when you went in that this game was getting kind of silly and funny and over the top, badass, like all those things.
Yeah.
Just kind of congealed into this one really easy to digest piece.
Yeah, I think that it was. I love that intro. It didn't stop us from doing it for Unskippable.
Yeah, I was gonna say, wasn't there an Unskippable? Because you guys did Hell's Highway and Borderlands. Like
we do bad games and we do games that we like.
Yeah.
Like I love the
take
Borderlands.
anything out of
intro.
context, it's fun.
Yeah, exactly. And it meant that I didn't realize that you made that you made the noise for the scab, because in the Unskippable I also added another layer of the scab going.
Well, it was one of the things we realized when we were watching it back, because you have its like mouth like doing this and its tongue's all doing this, and we're like, we need that punching mayonnaise noise or whatever you want. I don't know why that was the metaphor I went with, but yeah, you needed that awful, disgusting slapping noise to like really bring it all in.
Yeah. Someone was actually asking how you feel about that episode of Unskippable.
I thought it was funny. Like the thing is, I've watched almost all of them, and it works. It's funny. It's a great idea for a show. Just MST3K like cutscenes. Like we all do it, right?
Exactly.
And calling it Unskippable is genius, because that's.
Well, thank you.
Unskippable cutscenes are kind of.
Well, thank you very much. That name has only been a problem when there is a clear like press this button to skip visible through the entire episode.
Oh yeah, I don't like, because you know the person that did that, it wasn't like, because cutscenes are definitely one of the things in the industry that people go different ways on. Some people just hate cutscenes.
Yeah.
Some people love them. It's when somebody puts their heart and soul into the art of the game and like trying to tell that story, and some programmers like, I've decided this will be on the screen at all times, and it's like, come on, you know.
Yeah, like.
But they press the button and it comes up. That's one thing. Just like telling the player that we don't like this and it sucks is like, come on, that's not.
It does make the game seem sort of embarrassed about the cutscene when there's a press to skip thing visible the whole time. You're sort of like, oh, do you not?
Distracting.
Do you not want me to watch this? So we've actually just.
Yeah, it's like having a DVD and having like press this button to go to the next chapter, just always up.
Yeah.
Bottom.
That's a good analogy. You should do some writing.
Yeah, you should write for stuff.
Yeah. Oh God, everyone's asking the Star Trek question now. Everyone is trying to be the first person to ask the Star Trek fan.
Is there really like that much like you can glean from? Like, what happened? How did that come about? The whole Star Trek.
One person asked it in a thread when we were talking to John Scalzi on Saturday, and I was like, whatever, bus it. I'll ask this guy. And then someone asked it again when we were talking to Steve Butts from the Escapists later that evening, and then it was just like, well, I guess we're just asking everyone what they think of Star Trek fanfic now.
It's like any fanfic. There's good and bad. Like I think my brain went sex fanfic, and now I'm realizing you're asking only about fanfic. It is clearly labeled as Star Trek erotic fanfiction. There was only one piece of erotic fanfic that ever bothered me.
What was that?
Snape and Ronald Weasley. I was like,
no, not okay, not okay, not okay. Oh, here's an interesting question. Why did Gearbox pick the Flashlight Barney from the tram ride to be the character in Blue Shift? Any reason in particular? Wow, that's going back.
Yeah.
I can only wager a guess based on what I know, because the first thing I was even near at Gearbox was Half-Life PlayStation 2. If I were to guess, it was finding a character that everybody knew and could relate to and wanted to be from Half-Life, because we already did it on Opposing Force, obviously, so...
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's interesting to think about what does a security guard do in that situation? You know, because you got glimpses of them in the same way that Op 4 kind of happened. You got glimpses of the army guys. So that's my guess. You guys should tweet at Duval Magic.